All right. I think I am live now. Let me just double check my sound quality here. Checking the sound. We are live and direct from Medellin, Colombia. This is Andrew Macia with Life Hacks. I'm doing a live recording right now of my 5 reasons why I love Colombia. And yeah. let me let me double check my sound here. Hope everyone's having a great day. It is a great day here in Colombia. It did rain slightly, but that's not unusual for Colombia. It is Wednesday, the 16th, and today I'm going to be recording live again, as I usually do, my next video that I'm going to upload on YouTube, which is the 5 reasons why I love Colombia. And I'm not going to go over the same fucking reasons everybody goes over, the weather, the women, the cost of living. Everybody has those same, every blog that you come across or news article about living in Colombia or expatting in Colombia or whatever the fuck you want it to be, they'll mention the same shit. It's like, okay, I love the cost of living. It's cheap. Yeah, we already know that. The women are beautiful. Yeah, everybody knows that. The drugs are cheap. Yeah, everybody knows that. Prostitution is legal and it's cheap. Yeah, of course it is. Whatever. So in an attempt to not be the same, I've come up with 5 different reasons, and maybe I'll come up with more as I'm going through them here. But I think it's important to highlight different things that make life here in Medellin a lot better than my life was in California. And obviously my experience is a lot different than someone else's. It's not going to be the same. Your experience may be way different than mine. You may not even like it at all. Um, Let me see. there's a, there's a thread right now about on one of the expat groups or people from other countries living in in Colombia about some tall guy who's about as tall as I am. He says he's 6'3", asking for where to buy pants and shoes in Colombia, and that's one of the big caveats. If you are a bigger person, and I'm not even talking fat, because if you're obese, you're going to have a really hard time finding people clothes here, because the average person here is not like the average person in the U.S. who is obese. The average person here is it could be overweight, but you never see morbidly obese people. And I should never say never, because I'm sure I've seen a couple, but I think one lives in my neighborhood and he is a mentally disabled person. And I've actually met him, and I know him. I've known him for years because he lives here in my neighborhood, and he is morbidly obese, but it does have a mental disability, and yeah, but yeah, that's one of the caveats here of being a tall person in Colombia, is trying to find pants that are long enough and clothes that are big enough. And for me, particularly shoes. I'm a size 13. The biggest shoe that they have at malls, and I'm talking about like big malls that have like even like, Gucci, Versace stores and all that bullshit, will only have up to size 11 in their warehouses. So I usually just order mine through Amazon. There are a couple places where you can buy shoes, but they're not going to be like high quality. Like I like to wear Converse, so I can't get Converse here for size 13. I could get the knockoffs down in downtown. I know the stores that sell them because I've been here long enough to know, but I don't want knockoff Converse. I mean, they're so cheap in the States. I'd just buy the originals and have them shipped here. Or when, for example, my sister's coming, this month, at the end of the month, she'll bring me like 2 pairs. They're easy to pack, even though my feet are large. They're I guess fairly easy to pack actually. They're not, if they're basketball shoes, they're huge actually. And that's what I order the most is basketball shoes. So those I will order through Amazon, not to burden anyone's suitcase with size 13 shoes. But some guy says, I've worn size 34 length pants since I was 16, since I hit like 6'2". I'm like 6'3", a little bit above 6'3". And also I'm like lanky, so like my reach is pretty long as well, and my legs are long, so I'm a size 34, and I thought that was normal. And some guy said, "Wow, you're size 34." And here in Colombia, I say 36 inseam because everything is made for short people here in Colombia. So I always add a couple inches, and I've been able to find pants here. So that's one thing I can find pants, but not at normal stores. It's like one or two stores out of everything in Colombia in the past almost 11 years. It'll be 11 years in October that I've only found two stores that sell pants long enough for me and my brother. And my brother is even taller than me. He's 6'4.5" or so. So yeah, so we usually just get our shit shipped in from the United States, or we go to a couple stores that do sell them. But this guy said that he wears size 32 inseams, which is like 2 inches shorter, even in the U.S. than mine. And I'm like, and he's in awe, or he's in shock of how long mine are. Because he's probably around the same height, but we are proportioned differently. So I'm thinking his legs got to be like 2 inches shorter than mine. That's got to be kind of funny looking. Or maybe I'm funny looking to him, right? Because my legs are like daddy long legs over here. But yeah, so today I'm going to be recording another live episode of Life Hacks with Andrew that I'm going to be putting on my channel on YouTube. Just look for my name, Andrew Macia. And the last video that I made about Colombia, reasons for living in Colombia and reasons for not living in Colombia, is doing pretty well on YouTube. Because I guess it's not the normal stuff that you talk about, because I mentioned things that some people don't like about Colombia and why they leave. That it causes them to leave the country and not stay. So let me check the Facebook stream real quick. Yeah, it looks like it's fine. But yeah, I don't like the normal answers. It's not that I don't like them. I just think they're so boring. It's because after years of living here, I know whenever I see, my top reasons for living in Colombia, and it'll be cost of living related, it'll be woman related, or the people are friendly, or food related, because yeah, the food here is comfort food and it's huge and it's big, but usually you get bored of that, after the first few months here, if you're eating every day, Colombian style. And then what else? Women, food. Oh, the weather. Medellin has, it's called the city of eternal springtime because it's always springtime type weather, in the 70s. Sometimes it gets to the 80s. It's usually mid to high 70s, sometimes very low 80s. And this is in Fahrenheit. In Celsius, it's like 29, 28, 29, 30 when it gets really hot, sometimes over 30. So yeah, it's we all know this. This is not news to us that live here, but some people may want to know even more reasons, right? Or more in-depth reasons for living in Medellin, like what is it that I really love? Because I do travel a lot, and I've cultivated a lifestyle here that I love very much. I would have to say that my life is pretty damn easy here, apart from having to work, because I do have a business and running a nonprofit organization and doing all of my extracurricular projects, etc. That's not easy. Obviously, you have to work and you have to do stuff, but the big things that we already know about, like cost of living, make life here in Colombia a lot more comfortable than it would be, for example, in my case, near Los Angeles, living near Los Angeles or in San Francisco, or if you're from New York, or even in some other cities that are not on the coast that are getting to be more expensive. For example, I heard that, Austin, Texas and Houston, Texas are climbing up because a lot of the people after the pandemic or during the pandemic had to leave coastal cities like California. A lot of California transplants have gone to Austin, to San Antonio, to Houston primarily because it's way cheaper than maybe even half the price of what they were paying for apartments in Southern California. And then that has brought up the price in Houston. And that price is probably double, triple what you would pay here in Colombia. So yeah, life is a lot easier because of that fact. But let's talk about what makes Colombia so great, in my opinion, and for me. So I'm going to start recording, take this off. Let's fix the hair. All right, so let's get to it. So I'm going to start recording. Welcome to Colombia Podcast. I was just going to say Colombia Podcast. Welcome to Life Hacks with Andrew. My name is Andrew Messia. Today I'm going to be talking about the 5 reasons I love living in Colombia. I've lived in Medellin for over 10 years now. In that time, I've read tons of blog posts, news articles, Facebook posts, etc., about why people love living in Medellin. These lists always include the same shit: the cost of living, the weather, the nature, the people. For us men, usually the women, because they're very beautiful, blah, blah, blah. We've heard it all before. Just do a quick search of living in Colombia or why live in Colombia, and you'll see all of those cliche responses. They're cliche for me because I've been here almost 11 years and I've heard it so much that, okay, it's a cliche answer. Yeah, the nature. Yeah, it's in the fucking valley in the jungle. It's going to be beautiful. Yeah, the women is an anomaly. Yes, I know it's not everywhere in the world will you find beautiful women or the amounts of beautiful women here, but everybody kind of already knows that. It's kind of almost popular knowledge to know that Colombia has very beautiful women. Same with Brazil, same with Venezuela, etc. Don't get me wrong, though. All of those reasons are very valid for living in Colombia and loving to live in Colombia. I'm just tired of it. I'm assuming that if you're reading this blog post or you're watching this video, you've read other articles and blog posts as well about Medellin, and you too already know all about the reasons why Medellin is great. In an attempt to not bore the fuck out of you and give you a deeper insight into my love affair with Medellin, here are 5 reasons why I love Medellin. So number one reason that I love living in Medellin, Colombia, is my cleaning lady. My cleaning lady's name is Doña Nancy. She lives in a neighborhood near downtown Medellin. I've been to her house. She's been with me for years now. I call her my Medellin mom, and she's become pretty much part of my family. I hired her. When was this? I hired her about 6 years ago. I met her because she was cleaning the house of my. I met her because she was cleaning my roommate's apartment. And when I started roommating with him in downtown, maybe 6 years ago, she was the cleaning lady there. And we became friends because she would go there every other day to clean the apartment. It was 3 of us sharing a big apartment in downtown Medellin. And she was always very nice and she was very good at her job. And I got to know her, and eventually, obviously, we became friends, and I moved out of there. And when I moved out of there, I always kept in contact with her because I always wanted her to come to clean my house because she already knew what I liked and how I liked things kept and how I liked my bed made, how not to mix colors in the washing machine, how to wash my shoes. Yes, here in Colombia, we wash our shoes. That's something that I picked up in Colombia that I never did in the United States was wash your shoes. Maybe not in the washing machine, but scrubbing them and keeping them clean. That's a big thing here in Colombia is keeping your shit clean. Um, and she would come basically once a week to the apartment. Obviously, now she comes a lot more, sometimes up to 4 times a week. When I want her to make food, etc., she'll make it because she's a good cook as well. I mean, I don't remember the last time I washed clothes, like full loads of clothes. Like sometimes I'll wash my basketball uniforms or whatever that I need for like the weekend because I have 2 games or whatever. But when I have to do loads and stuff, I can't remember the last time I did that. And that kind of ties in with the whole cost of living thing. When you live here in Colombia, you can have a cleaning lady. This is something that I never had when I was in the United States. I never had a cleaning lady. Most people in the United States will never have a cleaning lady their whole lives. Maybe when they get into old age and they go live in a nursing home, will they have someone cleaning after them? But never did I ever hear of someone having a cleaning lady. And when you did, it'd be like, oh yeah, those guys are rich. They can afford a cleaning lady to come every other day to clean their house. It was the very rich people that had cleaning ladies, as far as I remember, and especially in Southern California, where you don't just have small houses out there. People have mansions, etc., to clean. So sometimes they do have cleaning ladies there. So yeah, Doña Nancy, let's go over what I pay her typically. So a domestic worker, that's what you call them here, a domestic worker like Doña Nancy, usually will be paid, 40 to 80,000 pesos per day. And per day, I don't mean like a full 8 hours. Usually it'll be like 6 hours, sometimes even just half a day, which is 4 hours. But between 40 and 80,000 pesos is normal, especially if you have a bigger apartment. For example, I have 100 square meters, which isn't huge, but it's also not small. And also, I only live in here, so I'm not making a huge mess. She knocks out my apartment in 4 hours. And in that same time, she also cooks. So it's a win-win situation because it's not a ton of work for her, and it's not a ton of money for me. And she also cooks, which is great. So between 40 to 80,000 pesos, if you're paying her daily, right, and you're paying her cash, obviously this is like an under the table type deal. But don't get it twisted. If you have a domestic employee working for you at your home for a certain amount of hours, Colombia law indicates that she is now your employee, and you can fall responsible for making sure that she has health insurance and paying into the social security system here, which is called the pension system here. And if you don't, or let's say that you don't have a formal contract, but she's coming every day and you're paying her cash under the table, and you fire her without due notice, she can sue you for what is called liquidación. Liquidación is kind of like a severance to an employee, which is what you would do if you had a regular employee. These laws were changed, I guess, recently, within the last 10 years. I can't remember what year exactly those were instituted. I believe it was like 6 or 7 years ago. But I know that that's a big deal because cleaning ladies were not treated as employees. They were just treated as day workers or day laborers and getting paid cash for a lot less than 80,000 pesos. 80,000 pesos, divided that by 4. I mean, that's like $20 for 4 to 8 hours of work. What I paid Doña Nancy, she's a salaried employee. So I pay her a lot more than 80,000 pesos an hour because I also pay into the pension system and her health insurance and benefits, etc. So, yeah, and I'm very happy to do that because she is like part of my family now. I know her daughter, her son, they're involved with Help Colombia as well. So it's not like it's just some person that I hired and then, I'll let her go and then hire someone else when I move, etc. She moves with me. So my cleaning lady has made my life a lot easier. And why have a cleaning lady? Well, number one, because it doesn't cost a ton of money here in Colombia to hire someone to come to your house, even if it's just once a week, maybe 2 times a week, 3 times a week, 4 times a week, every single day. That's the best. But she, my time is best spent in front of the computer. My time is best spent working on my business and other projects instead of washing my clothes, although that doesn't take a ton of time, but it does lose my focus, right? When you work from home, and a lot of you guys probably did work from home because of the pandemic, it's very easy to get distracted, especially when you have chores to do or things to do and you don't really want to do what you want to do or what you have to do. And you go do a load of laundry, and then all of a sudden 30 minutes went by, an hour went by. Oh, and it's lunchtime. I got to start lunch. And then you're starting lunch, and then another hour goes by. And then, oh, I got to go pick up the kids from school or whatever it is. So life gets in the way when you work from home. And I've been working from home for the past, since I've gotten here, I've always been a freelancer. So 10 years. Granted that I did have a regular hourly job, which was teaching English, the first 4 years, the first 4 years that I was here in Medellin, but I've always worked from home. So having someone that comes to your house and cleans for you, cooks, cleans, etc. for you, helps you keep just focus on what you've got to do during the day for work. So number one, cleaning lady is awesome. Number two, there's a solution for everything. Paisas have a saying, un paisa no se vara, which means that a paisa never breaks down. Meaning that no matter what, there's always an answer, there's always a solution for any problem. For example, a couple months ago, I had a computer go down. I took it to a place where I usually go for all things computer. It's a mall here called Monterrey, and it's actually great because this mall caters to only electronics, particularly computers, etc. You'll find some other odd stores, but it's pretty much 90% all computer electronic stuff. Not even washing machines or anything like that. It's just computer related, and it's 2 levels of a mall just dedicated to computer stuff. So I take my computers there whenever I have my regular guys that I go to there for a cell phone. If the screen breaks, I know exactly where to go. I've been going for years. If a computer breaks, I know exactly where to go. If I need it reformatted, I go to the other guy. If I need my PlayStation controller fixed, I go to this guy. If I need my hard drive, everything extracted from it because it won't read anymore, I know where to go because I've been going there for years. So a few months ago, I had a computer go down. The owner of the shop told me that it was going to take a week to fix. I told him that I needed it ASAP. Sensing my frustration and not willing to lose the client, he offered me his own computer to take to the office. I don't think it was his own computer. It was a computer that he had there at his shop to take to my office to use for whatever it is that I needed to. And that's one of the computers I use for now editing and stuff. He got the computer fixed in 2 days. So if I need to move, so that is basically the Paisa way, especially here in Medellin. It's there's always a solution for something. When he told me that he wouldn't have the computer ready for 2 or 3 days or whatever it was, and he saw the look on my face where I was already looking around okay, I'm going to go ask someone else for another shop to go fix it. He said, don't worry though. I've got another computer that you could use, and it's got pretty much the same specs right now. You can take it with you, and I'll fix this one, and then you bring that one back. So there's always a solution. Paisas, for some reason, have a very cool way of doing business, especially business and negotiating, which I've learned. For some people, it's not cool because it almost seems like they're trying to take advantage of you. But in many cases, they do want to have an advantage. So for him, the advantage was for me not to go look for someone else that can fix the computer in less than 2 or 3 days. And he gave me one of his, and he's been my computer guy forever. But that's just a good example of what that, un paisano se vara type mentality. For example, another example, if I need to move, anytime I've ever needed to move, I've got Don Pedro el Cubano, and even though he's Cuban, he's very paisa in the way of doing business, and his truck, he has a truck. So there's never, so I never have to call like a big moving company, or I never have to actually even move myself. I don't remember the last time I actually even carried furniture up 5 flights of stairs, because there's always someone for something. There's always someone willing to work and do it for you. And for me, that's amazing. There's always a solution for something. No matter what the issue is, it seems like there's a guy for that. If your washing machine breaks, there's a guy for that. If, it's not like in the United States where you're going to have to call a company, and then you're going to have to set an appointment, and then they're going to have to come over and give you a quote, and then you'll decide if you're going to pay. Literally, you call someone, he'll look at it and tell you right then and there, oh, I need to go to the store and buy this part. This is what's broken. He'll go to the store with the receipt, sometimes even pay with his own money, and come back with the receipt. Or you give them cash. That's what I do. I give them the cash. I'm like, okay, just pay it and bring me the receipt back. They bring you the receipt and the change, and then charge you for the labor. There's always a guy for that, no matter what it is. Even if you need a TV mounted. I've seen guys that literally have put signs, paper signs on the street that say, we mount TVs. That's what they do. So there's always there's someone to do something in your life here in Medellin. So yeah, number 2 is that there's a solution for everything. There's a guy or girl that does everything for you. Number three, men are men and women are women. Yes, this may sound chauvinistic, especially for you first worlders or Westerners. I sat here and tried to think of the least chauvinistic way to say this. Regardless, I'm sure some will be offended. So here it goes. Coming from Southern California, where sometimes men are afraid of women, and women have to put up walls and don't want to appear weak, a place where men will pay thousands of dollars to take a course on how to pick up women. A place where you can go to the grocery store and see women in pajamas and flip-flops and hair curlers. It's nice to be in Medellin, where most people look in the mirror before they leave the house. I've had paisa friends, particularly female, ask if my gringo friends that we were hanging out with for the night were gay after a night out. After laughing and asking why, they've replied, because they're so shy, or because they didn't even ask me to dance. And that, being a gringo and coming into the Colombian culture, it's happened. I can't tell you how many times a Colombian female friend has asked me if an American guy, and I speak about Americans, meaning gringos from the United States of America, was gay, because they're shy, they don't talk, they don't ask anybody to dance, because they come with that emasculated culture of many men have in the United States. And yes, this is very hard to probably listen to, especially if you are or maybe, I don't even know, maybe if you are a woman from the United States that feels that this is chauvinistic in a way. And maybe it is. But I think there is a level of chauvinism in Colombia that makes the balance of men and women, or at least the roles of men are men and women are women, appealing, at least to me. For example, I'm not the greatest looking guy. I'm not even, I guess I would be like a normal looking person, but I have confidence and I don't fear rejection. I've been in sales for years and I don't care if a woman rejects me or tells me off, because that has happened, even here in Colombia, just because she didn't like the way I look. And that's completely fine. I understand that and I agree with that. I'm glad you told me, because otherwise I wouldn't have known. I don't like people being fake to me just because they want to be nice. Just tell me you don't like me. I'm not here to waste your time either, type thing. So I'm not the greatest looking guy, but meeting people and making good impressions has been easy for me here in Medellin. I do have a blog post about my dating life here in Medellin, and sometimes and it's something that I love about the culture, being able to meet people here, and usually women, especially if you are a confident person and an interesting person, are very receptive. That's been my experience, because I'm not a model looking guy, but when I do have friends that are very good looking come here, the women are even more receptive, which is amazing. And I get very jealous at them, and then I get angry, and then I just take the girls that they don't like. I call it the spillage. I'll take the spillage. I'm okay with that. But what I'm saying is that in Colombia, it's very evident that men are men and women are women. The roles are defined still. There is inequality and there is domestic abuse, and some people may say, oh, there's a patriarchy here, but most of the people that are in jail, and I would venture to say that probably way more than 60 or 70% of the people in jail in Colombia are men. So it's not like women are taking advantage there. Most of the homicides are probably all men, although some women probably do get killed. But if you look at the statistics, probably in the world, most people that are incarcerated are men. Most people that are victims of violent crimes or homicide are men. So it kind of evens out, right? But what I'm saying is that I particularly like the fact that women can be very feminine here, even though they're very strong. Usually the woman, especially coming from a Colombian household, the woman is the head of the family. The grandmother is usually the glue of the family. So it's very matriarchal when it comes to family structure. And women can be very strong and opinionated, but you will never catch a woman going to go grocery shopping in pajamas or in flip-flops or in sandals. Not talking about sandals, but like slippers with hair curlers not done up, like you would probably see in many places in the United States, which is definitely a relief. I've been here for 11 years now almost, and I hope that never changes. I would hate for that to change, and women to be like, oh, I'm not going to shave my armpits, and I'm going to not do my hair and come to the grocery store in pajamas. And not only women. I mean, I speak about women because I'm a man, but you'll never see guys like that either. Granted that if you go to the poorer communities, yeah, people are, I'm talking about poor, where they may not even have a shower in their house. That's very different, which is also all too common here in Colombia. But for the most part, the roles are very defined. So that's number 3. The men are men, The women are women. Number 4 reason why I love living in Colombia, in Medellin, is because I'm brown. As a Latino in California, growing up in California for 26 odd years, I always had to look over my shoulder because I was an illegal immigrant, primarily. I grew up fearing the police. Getting pulled over for speeding or running a stop sign involved more than one cop car and at least an hour, sometimes 2, of interrogation and searching of the car. Many will say you don't have to. Many will say, and this is a very common thing when I mention this to my gringo friends. It's like, yeah, getting pulled over, while brown in Southern California, involves getting searched, getting interrogated, sitting down on the curb, sometimes even handcuffed, etc. Especially me now, since I was a former felon. The felony was expunged because it happened more than 15 years ago. But even though that's still in the record somehow, it would involve me being handcuffed, maybe even put in the back of a police car, etc. Even when I'm with my family, it happened, when I was in the United States, when we were just going to dinner and my mom gets pulled over for a speeding ticket. It would involve a lot of cops, a lot of time. And yeah, it sucks. And many of my gringos friends would say, well, getting pulled over doesn't mean that you concede to a search without without probable cause. Well, being brown in the United States is probable cause. So if you say, no, I don't want you to search, it's making it even difficult. I've done it. I've tried it. It works, but your life is a lot more miserable. I just say, just search the car. I ain't got shit. It's not like I sell drugs anymore. Even in the age of dash cams, body cams, and progressive ideologies, racism and racial profiling still exists in the United States. But here in Medellin, everyone is fucking brown, and I'm brown, so I mix in. I've been maybe searched by police because here they can search you, and they do search you, usually to extort you if you're like in the party zone and they suspect that you probably have like a bag of cocaine on you or something. They're going to want to find it, or a joint, and then believe that you don't know the law because it's decriminalized here, and say, oh, well, we got to take you in. I've seen it happen a lot. We can make this go away really quickly, and then allude to you paying them or them extorting you. It happens a lot, not only to gringo friends, but Colombian friends too that don't know the law. But for the most part, I'm brown. Everyone's brown. I fit in. I never feel like the police is going to take advantage of me. I know that may feel weird to you guys, but maybe for a gringo, it feels probably different. If you're white-skinned, light-eyed, light-haired, or you're evidently a tourist, yeah, the cops will probably try to take advantage of you if you're, walking around at 2 a.m. drunk or something, or coming out of Barrio Antioquia in a cab. You'll probably get extorted, or there's a high probability. I feel truly free to do whatever the fuck I want here in Colombia. I'm not some deviant that wants to commit crimes. I'm talking about little things like having a beer with friends at the basketball court on a Saturday. Never get bothered by police here for that. In the United States, we'd probably be all thrown in jail because we used to play soccer on Sundays, and I couldn't ever imagine taking a cooler of beers to the park and drinking the beers in public. First of all, you can't do that in California, so we wouldn't even try it. But even if we did, the police would, if they were called, and they were called various times when we played soccer, especially early in the morning on a Sunday, making noise, cops would be called, we'd get kicked out, etc. Imagine having beers on top of that. It would not be good. What else? Oh, crossing an empty street without having to use a crosswalk. I love that. Having a street party without getting permits. Going to the nicest restaurant in the city without people glaring at me, because in the United States, I've always had, for the most part, white girlfriends. in Southern California. I don't know. I was just not attracted to Mexicans. Most of the women in Southern California are Mexican, or at least the most of the Hispanic people in Southern California are Mexican. So in my school, like in high school and stuff, all of the Hispanic people that were there, that were my friends, were Mexican, and I just wasn't attracted to that. I was attracted to the white women, and I would date them. So going to like a fancy restaurant, looking the way I looked, usually it's people will look and be like, "Oh, that's interesting." Nothing bad. It's just here in Colombia, I from the get go when I first got here, I felt at home. It was like that Star Wars movie where Chewbacca finally finds his planet and there's other Chewbaccas. That was like me when I first got here, and I continue to feel that way. I don't feel like. Sometimes I wish I did stand out though, especially for the women mostly. Like I wish I was white, blue-eyed, and blonde-haired because here I would kill it. But regardless, I do pretty well for myself. But yeah, that's something that's way different. So that's number 4 is the fact that I am brown and everyone here is brown. So life is a lot different here in Medellin or in Colombia for me than it was in Southern California. Number 5, and finally, my top reason why I love living in Colombia are my friends. One of the hardest things for an expat or a digital nomad to do is to establish long-lasting relationships in whatever place they decide to settle or even just visit. As a quasi-expert, I relate more to foreigners that, as a quasi-expat, and I say quasi-expat because I'm not really American. I grew up in the United States of America, lived there for 26 years, and then came back here. Lived there for about 29 years, until I was 29. I lived there until I was 29. I got there when I was 24. When I was 4 years old. So yeah, about 26 years living in the United States. And now living in Colombia for the past almost 11 years. I would consider myself an expat, I guess, for a lack of a better word. But I'm not American, and I am Colombian. Just weird, right? It's like I'm not from there and I'm not from here. Where the fuck am I from? But I relate more to foreigners because I spent most of my life there in the United States. I relate more to foreigners than I do to. I relate more to foreigners. I'll say that again for my editor. I relate more to foreigners than I do to locals. I relate more to foreigners than I do to locals. I express myself better in English than in Spanish. So making English-speaking friends is very important to me because there's two reasons. Number one, it's because it's the language I feel more comfortable in expressing myself and talking to someone, especially if it's like every day. And number 2, because of the culture, right? Like I like watching American football. I like watching basketball. I like watching baseball. A lot of Americans don't even like watching baseball, but I like watching American sports, UFC fights, etc. I'm not saying that Colombians don't, but most Colombians won't watch that and don't watch it because, first of all, they don't even know the 1,000 rules that American football has. And also there's time differences. There's the whole local team spirit type thing. So I like making friends that are closer to my culture, which is the American culture, right? So making English speaking friends or people that are more that I can relate to more is very important to me, especially if I'm living here. If you've traveled anywhere and have run into expats, you know that many expats are douchebags. Many think they know it all and oftentimes complain about everything. It's pretty annoying, and it happens here a lot. If you go to, I'm not going to name any names, but any of the top sports bars in Parquelleras or in the Poblado area where you will find expats or even just travelers that have been here for a month or two, they know everything about Colombia already. They know where to get the girls. They know where to get the good deals. They know all of the ins and outs. And if you say otherwise, they'll get belligerently loud and weird. And it's just like a weird thing. For some reason, Medellin attracts some of the garbage from the United States. And that garbage usually drinks a lot of alcohol and hangs out at bars. So yes, a lot of the expats and a lot of the people that travel here and will stay here, especially the older people. I don't know why. It's just the older people, I guess maybe because they're more hard-headed and they're not living in the United States for a reason, right? And it's a very different reason than why I'm here. I'm here because I'm not allowed to go back to the United States and I'm from here. It's not like I wanted to come retire in Colombia. That's way different than an expat that just can't find what they're looking for in the United States and trying to come look at a third world country for that, to fulfill that void or to fill that void. Over the course of my 10 years here in Colombia, I've made some really awesome friends. I've made some really awesome connections. Many of my friends are expats, most of them entrepreneurs that love to travel and to volunteer and to set up business, set up shop in Colombia. A lot of them don't just live here. They'll live maybe 6 months here and then 6 months out of the country because they aren't completely citizens yet, or I should say residents. Some are here on investor visas. Some are here on homeowner visas. Some are here just as traveling, and they continue to travel here and come every 6 months, some every 9 months, some just 3 months out of the year. Some are here permanently. It's really great to be able to pick up the phone and make plans for lunch or a couple drinks at a local bar any day and have a good conversation. When I think about Medellin, I don't think about the nice weather, the beautiful women, or the low cost of living. I first think about my friends. Whenever I travel outside of the country and I'm gone any long period of time, I always think first about my friends. I'm like, man, I would really love to be back home because I'd be able to do this or do that. And a lot of it does revolve around business, our charity, Help Colombia, and of course, me playing basketball because that's what I do every single week. I feel blessed to be part of their lives because they've added so much to me. And my friends are also not only foreigners that are living here, that are entrepreneurs, travelers, but they're also locals. The locals that I've made friends here with are people that are very like-minded, that Medellin is not the only country they know. They've traveled, they want to grow, they have businesses, they have activities. We do board game night at my friend's house, and it's always a mix of my local friends and my foreign friends, and we do board game night. I play video games, as you have probably watched and or maybe heard, that sometimes I'll be speaking in Spanish, and those are my local friends that only speak Spanish, but they're worldly, they're fun, they're exciting, they're not boring. Of course, there's a lot more than 5 reasons why I love Medellin. The ones I listed are what I consider the most important reasons, and I'll go over them one more time. Number 1 is my cleaning lady, Doña Nancy. Shout out to Doña Nancy. Number two is that there's a solution for everything. Number 3 is that men are men and women are women. Roles are very defined here. Number 4 is that I'm brown in a country where everyone is brown, so I feel very comfortable here. Number 5 is the connections that I've made here with all of my friends. So yeah, that's the top 5 reasons why I love Colombia. When and where do you play basketball? Marcus asked. Oh, let me end the actual recording of this and then I'll answer some questions. So thank you guys for watching this video. Make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. These will always be on these these talks will also be on all of your favorite podcast networks like Spotify or Apple Podcasts, etc. So make sure to follow, subscribe. Have a great one. Okay, so that's for the cover photo maybe. I stopped recording. Okay, so yeah, Marcus, where do you play basketball, bro? We play at the university usually. Yeah, feet. Um, yeah, so if you want, just message me. Look me up on Instagram and send me a private message, or on Facebook and send me a private message, and I'll add you to the private WhatsApp group where we list. I mean, there's like almost, I think, more than 100 people in that WhatsApp group now, or close to 100 people. So anytime someone wants to play, we just will say, hey, anybody playing tonight or anybody playing tomorrow, and then they'll make a list of who's going, and then they meet up either at the university, because we've got a guy there that goes to school there, and he can make the reservation because you do have to reserve the court. Or we'll play in Barrio Manila, like on weekends when there's no kids practicing or people playing soccer there or playing tennis. There's a lot of courts all around town. And you know, it depends on how good you are, but there is like a smaller group of like very high level basketball played at 7:30 in the morning on Tuesdays and Thursdays, usually at the university. So if you are good, I could add you to that group, or I actually can't add you to that group. Jan has to add you to that group, so you have to go through a tryout. But usually anybody that I invite there from the regular group will get in because I know how they play. Oh, you came to the Manila game. Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, it's part of the group. It's part of the Medellin basketball group on WhatsApp. So yeah, the living in Medellin has been awesome. My favorite thing about it are my friends and the people that I hang out with here. Pretty much, I see them on a daily basis. Obviously, my brother lives here. I'll tell you that my living situation is I live in a 5-story building about a block away from Parque del Poblado, and it's in Barrio Manila, near the Manila basketball court. I live on the 5th floor. My brother lives on the 3rd floor. My business partner, Joel, lives on the 2nd floor. Joel's brother, Josh, just bought the apartment on the 4th floor. So literally everyone that's close to me basically lives in my building, which is amazing. There's 2 apartments per floor. So I live in 501. 502 is our Airbnb, or one of our Airbnbs. 402 is the one that Josh just bought, and that one's going to be turned into an Airbnb. 401 is somebody else's Airbnb, which I usually have my friends rent that one because it's like a Colombian style of Airbnb, which is very cheap. If you're looking for just a room in Manila, you could do it to that Airbnb. I particularly don't like it because the rooms are too small. They've fucked up that apartment. But if you're just here for like a week and you're not going to be in the room or in your apartment for a lot, you're going to be out, right? Or maybe a month or even a couple months, and you don't mind it, it's great too. But yeah, it's an amazing setup. Marcus, I got your message. I'll send me your. Oh yeah, we played. Yeah, I told you to play that day, right? Yeah, you're pretty good. Send me your WhatsApp number to add you to the main b-ball group. Anybody that plays basketball doesn't call basketball b-ball, but I just did. So yeah, so obviously there are many more reasons why I love living here. And like I've said before, the pros outweigh the cons. Yes, there are a lot of cons, and I'll make another video of all the cons of living here compared to living in the United States. I'll do that one probably in a couple days. But for the most part, the pros outweigh the cons for me. I've always said that if I didn't live in Medellin, if Medellin never existed, I would live in Guadalajara, Mexico, and I do have a lot of expat friends that live there as well. And I think that's an amazing city as well. But for me, Medellin is better than Guadalajara. For what it's worth, it's got to do a lot with the women. I'm not gonna lie. The reasons why I love being here and the biggest reason why I miss Colombia when I leave are the women, because literally, I'll have easily 5 girls on rotation throughout the year, and I keep replacing them. I'm like a basketball team. So when I leave here, it's like, oh man, I got to start this fucking roster over again. If I'm like in Guadalajara or whatever. Although I've met girls there because I go there often and we party a lot there. But yeah, for the most part, it's just an amazing place to live. As far as oh, you used to live in Guadalajara as well, Marcus? Yes, my Julio. My dad, he's like, save an apartment for us. Well, if you want to climb 5 stories, I know you don't want to do that. Well, hopefully within the next 5 years, I will own, or we will own this building, and we will get an elevator put in, because in Colombia, if there's a building, or at least here in Medellin, if there's a building that is 5 floors or less, it doesn't have to have an elevator. If it's more than 5 floors, then mandatory, it has to have an elevator. So this building is about 20 years old or so, and it doesn't have an elevator. For me, being a young person, I guess relatively young, I'm getting older, but I don't have any hard time going up and down the stairs. But I could imagine someone in their 60s and their 70s, it's going to be harder. So we definitely need to put in an elevator if we want to stay here long term. Yeah, you prefer Medellin more? Yeah, I prefer Medellin for a lot of reasons. One being the women, although Guadalajara, the tapatillas are beautiful as well, but there's just a lot more here. You're in shape, not on shape. You're on shape. You're on the circle shape. But yeah, other than that, my cleaning lady makes my life easy here, and doesn't cost me an arm and a leg to have her here, and she's part of my family now. There's a solution for everything. No matter what you need done here in Colombia, there's always a person that can take care of it for you. And you don't have to go through a whole bunch of paperwork or whatever, to get someone to come and fix your fucking fridge or your washing machine. They can do it in an hour or 2. It's never a big deal. It's never a hassle. Number 3, women are women, men are men. Roles are defined. I love the empowered movement of women, and all that hoopla is great. I love that. But that can stay over there, especially like the whole emasculation of men. That can stay over there. Here in Colombia, we like how we are. Number 4, I'm brown, so I fit in. And number 5 is that my friends are awesome, so I love living here. And by friends, I also mean my fuck buddies are awesome. But other than that, I mean, life is great. And running a business from here is not... So most people wouldn't move to Colombia to come start a business. I mean, if you are, you're a fucking nut. You usually go to Panama, Puerto Rico, where else? Mauritius, even like Paraguay, where there is no foreign income tax, zero foreign income tax. So you can start a business there, charge in dollars, as long as you're not taking money to your personal account. There's a loophole there. It's a tax haven. Colombia is not a tax haven. So it's not like I came here to start a business. I came here because I had to come here. And I started a business because I don't like working for other people. I'd rather work on my own dreams. But running a business here is not ideal for most people. But most people fall in love with the country and then will start a business here or run their United States business out of here. And that's a big reason why people don't stay here the whole year. They'll only be here 6 months because they don't want to be taxed in Colombia, because the income tax here is very high. Yeah, you're trying to figure out your tax situation. So I'm guessing you're from the United States. and if you're making under $100,000 a year in the United States, you have an exemption for $100,000. But if you're making more than that, and you also have expenses like employees and all that, you probably want to either incorporate or have an LLC in the United States and take money through there, or form and establish your business maybe in a country like Panama. But that also means that you have to live in Panama for 6 months, and I don't know anybody that likes living in Panama. Yeah, you should definitely talk to a lawyer though, or an accountant here, Marcus, because just because you're here and you have to declare taxes, first of all, you got to figure out if you've got to declare. Usually, you probably do have to declare taxes. Doesn't mean you have to pay here if you're already declaring and paying something in the United States. It's not like you're going to get taxed twice on the same income. As far as I know, that's the way it works. But again, I'm not a professional. I have an accountant and I have a lawyer. I highly recommend talking to Alan Gongora at Langdon Law. He's here. I've known him for like 10 years, and he's my lawyer. But I do have my own personal accountant, and she does our business and my personal taxes here as well. Oh, Belize. Yeah, Belize is another one. That's a good option. Incorporating in Belize. Those are all tax haven, the Cayman Islands, etc. Although those, I don't know how expensive Belize has become because it is a tax haven, and what their requirements are in order to incorporate there and have a business there and run, money through there. I know that in Panama you have to live in Panama for 6 months because that's what we were looking into, but neither myself nor Joel want to live in Panama for 6 months. Because again, I leave Medellin for 2 weeks and I'm already missing it. Right, the 15% self-employment tax. Well, you can avoid that through even incorporating in uh, zero corporate tax states like Florida, Delaware, etc. You can avoid the 15% self-employment tax by incorporating, but then again, you want to talk to a professional. I know that there are loopholes, even just doing it in the United States. We've been lucky because we are here in Colombia, and we run U.S. dollars through our companies in the United States, and we also have expenses. We have employees, we have investments that we've made, etc. So it all balances out. And here in Colombia, if you are a if you are a citizen of a Colombian citizen, there are more advantages to you tax wise. But for foreigners, it gets a little bit trickier and more difficult. Yeah, but that 15% self-employment tax, that's huge. So yeah, you got to talk to a professional, because I know that if you establish an LLC, that's a flow-through account, so you don't avoid the 15% self-employment tax. But if you do form like an S corp, you can avoid it that way through clever maneuvering. But that's something you want to talk to a professional about. I'm not a professional there. What else? Yeah, so apart from those 5 reasons why I love living in Colombia, and the cliche reasons like the cost of living, obviously the dollar is stronger than the peso, so the dollar goes a long way here. I mean, I could have chosen any other country to live in and established my life there once I got to Colombia, or even any other city in Colombia. And I did live in Bogota for 6 months, but I just fell in love with Medellin. Everything about it, even the bad things, are in some senses good. For example, some people say that traffic here sucks. And I'm like, you don't know shit about traffic till you go to LA. Traffic here, I mean, I've been stuck in traffic going across the city maybe for an hour. In LA or Southern California, you're trying to make a 15-minute drive through the freeway sometimes, or let's say a 45-minute drive from one place to another at a peak hour, rush hour. It may take you 2 hours. So yeah, traffic here is nothing. I guess it's all your perception, right? How you see it and where you came from. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Shout out to Marcus from LA. Shout out to my brother. Shout out to everybody that liked the stream, um, and liked the live recording. It's a live recording, so these are recorded and edited and put up on my YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe if you like this kind of shit. If I not only talk about life in Medellin and in Colombia, but also business stuff, digital marketing stuff, motivational videos I make. So I'm basically throwing a bunch of shit up on the wall and trying to see what sticks. I just started this a month ago, so I know it's going to take a few months of throwing stuff up on the wall and seeing what sticks the most, and what sticks the most is what I can most monetize, because that is my goal, is to make this an extra stream of income apart from the other businesses that I have, because it's something I enjoy. I like talking about these things. It pushes me out of my comfort zone. I'm not comfortable in front of a camera. I've become more comfortable in the last month because since I started doing this, and on top of that, we do have a podcast called the Colombia Podcast. Go check it out on YouTube. It's been up for a couple years now. We have a lot of really fun episodes. So I feel like I've become more comfortable in front of a camera, and doing this pushes me even further out of my comfort zone because I'm doing it live. It's not like a recorded thing where I can fuck up and then be like, oh, okay, well, yeah, let's scratch that. Let's edit that out or whatever. Here, it's all live. So it's fun. It's definitely something I look forward to doing every single day. I'll be doing this for the next, at least the next year. My plan is to do it for the next 2 years, every single day, do some sort of stream. Yeah, you have no plans to go back to the U.S. Yeah, there's no plan. Even if I could, I wouldn't go back right now, just because I'm so focused on my business here and the things that I have to do here. The only reason I would ever want to go back is to go watch a Laker game, but they suck right now, so I'm not going to go do that. um, yeah, and I think they may play in Mexico next off season, or an exhibition game before preseason exhibition game. So I'd rather go do that, or even go to Europe and watch them because sometimes the NBA goes to like different parts of Europe and even China. So that sounds a lot more fun than going back to the U.S. to watch a sports game. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm going to log off here, and then I'm going to come back on and play Fortnite because I'm obsessed with that game. Have a great